Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Monday, everybody. Corey Buchan, happy Monday. If you're watching this, I received notification that LinkedIn is having issues with it going live on there. This is also hence why we go live on YouTube and Facebook and everything, so you guys can make sure to always catch it. So, again, migrate over to YouTube if LinkedIn is not working out there. But, I got a very special guest for you guys here today. He's been on the show, but he's out here doing a new venture, and he's been through some shit, like real life stuff, you guys. And he's overcame a lot of it. And we're going to be talking about a lot of that, right? Is building that system out to kind of achieve a lot of those things. So I got my man, Nick, with Stride Motivation back on the show. So Nick, thank you so much for joining me.
Chris, thanks for having me again, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially now that you got your venture up and running, you've decided like, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm going with, I had to get you back on the show. And especially, I didn't even know this, but last Friday was like National Quitter Day or something like that in the New Year's resolution. So ironically, this just lined up, and you can vouch, we planned this shit out like early December on when you were going to come. Yep. It was not an accident.
No, that was very, very serendipitous timing.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So what's good, man? What's going on? How's everything going in your world?
We were talking before the show a little bit. I'm going to say that life is very good, but it's been very chaotic. My wife and I are selling our house. We didn't have running water for a month with plumbing issues, just had the whole piping redone, moved into a new house, don't know where anything is. And, business doesn't stop. So it has been full-fledged logistics lifestyle without the logistics.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. It's been wild, but I've also learned I completed Live Hard last year, and my going into this year has really just kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things, where now I actually view this as like everything is a system. All right. And you can build a system around almost everything. I would argue you can build a system around everything to ensure that you're getting things done. And, for me, I always struggled with, like, I have very, very big goals that people probably laugh about when I say, like, I'm going to build the largest transportation company in North American history. Like, I'm going to fucking do that. But I was always in my mind framing it up like I had to do it today, as opposed to, no, that's my lifetime goal. Like, that's Chris in 30 or 40 years. That's where the achievement lies. And then I tied it all the way back down to, what do I have to do today to get to that next step in that journey, right? So it was like I was looking at my daily tasks, and I was like, I'm not even moving the needle at that. But then I broke it down into, all right, what's the next step in the journey, right? Like we hit our first 7 figures in revenue out there. So like that's a big milestone to hit. And now it's like, all right, so how do we get to that, build up that consistency of that consistent revenue? Because one thing that's not talked about in building a business is the roller coaster aspect of it, right? You have a good 3-4 months, then you have a shitty 2 months, and then it's about kind of closing that gap. So now I just have it broken down into what is the next step in the journey. So and that's what we've built our entire framework, me and my business partner, for this year for business is what do we have to do every single day? And my only focus now on everything, whether it's my health or my business, is what did I do today? Did I win today or not? Yes or no? Very cut and dry.
I absolutely love this topic for so many reasons. And let me tell you a story of the way I learned this. So, I love telling stories, and I love telling stories about obstacle course racing. So a couple of years ago, there was a mountain race that I'm training for. It was a 31-mile race in Killington, Vermont, almost 20,000 feet of climbing, one of the hardest races in North America with the highest DNF rate. And I was a little bit behind in my training, and I was stretching one night before bed, and I started to just freak out. And I'm like, how am I going to climb this mountain? How am I going to get in so much shape? I live in Florida. Yeah. Where am I going to get to train the mountains? How am I going to do it? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then I was like, you know what? All right. What's the next important thing that have to happen in order for me to achieve my goal? And I said, well, I need to make sure I get my workout in the morning. Okay. In order for me to do that, what do I need to do? I need to wake up when the alarm goes off. So I need to get a good night's sleep. So what do I need to do? I need to go to bed relaxed. I was currently stretching. So what is the wildly specific and stupidly simple thing that I can do right now to help me achieve my goals? Climbing a mountain came down to one breath.
Yeah.
Because that was the action I had available to me. So between that, and I'm going to say this, 10 years of sobriety is 10 years of practicing one day at a time living. And so when I left my job 15 months ago, the timing of which was not my choice, to begin this venture and to get into it, and having to, we were talking about this a minute ago. I mean, just the life of doubt and the all of it, right? Yeah. When you have a vision of where you want to go, but you're not entirely sure you want to get there or how you want to get there. And so you have to break it down to the daily action. And I actually reread the book, The One Thing, this year. I highly recommend it to anybody it to anybody.
What's it called? The One Thing?
The One Thing.
Okay.
And it's about taking the really big goals, right? The visions of you want for your life, and how to break those down to the very first domino that you need to hit. And that's what it all comes down to. What is the simplest and what is the wildly specific and stupidly simple action step that I can take just to get started?
Yeah, so Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, Jim Collins, this talks about that exact thing, but in the business world, about doing just that, right? And because I think, like, I look at it as, again, I will always use myself as an example, because I spent the majority of my life as a disaster. I was drunk, obese, everything. So like I resonate with a lot of that stuff. And it was always, it was always that comparison, right? It was always the where am I not? And then it was really focusing in on that stuff. And then I just find, and I credit this to the Live Hard program that I completed last year is I was framing everything wrong. And that was up until, I'm 38 years old, you guys. I'm going to be 39 in 3 months. So for my entire life, I've just been framing things ass backwards, where it's like, I wasn't thinking about things wrong. I was thinking about creating a better life for myself, but it was like, I was just overlooking what I actually needed to do to kind of get the ball rolling. And, you can go, because, and it's hard, right? Like I can sympathize with people. You're on social media. Everybody's perfect. Everybody's got it all figured out. Everybody's a millionaire, actually. If you didn't know that, Nick, if you're on, so everybody's a success. So it's like, of course, all of that stuff starts to weigh in on everybody, right? But it's like, dude, I've made the last half of last year, I made a conscious effort to remove social media from my life. And it's going to sound ironic because my shit's all over the place on social media, and I've used social media to build a company. But one thing I can say, and as the kids say, I have receipts, I've only talked about like training and development and like helping people in business. It's never been why I'm better than everybody else, right? And I think that it was about what I was consuming as well outside of that stuff, because it's very easy. Again, it's very easy to see where you are right now, whether you're not happy in your business, physique, whatever that looks like, and then scroll on social media and you think everybody else has it all figured out. But it's like, and this is one of my main things for 2025, is my word of the year is consistency. Right? I'm going to consistently do my daily tasks, and I need to learn, because like, again, this is I'm starting out in shape for the first time in my entire life this year, where it's like, I got to keep this up, right? Like, I'm going to try and do this without being on a program. Is like, did I ingrain these habits in myself enough to just do the work every single day? And a lot of it will just boil down to me, my tasks, my business, my results only.
Becomes a lifestyle. It starts when I talk about breaking things down to the wildly specific and stupidly simple. I put a video out about it the other day on Quitter's Day. I was like, don't quit today. Just go to the gym today. Just drive there. There's an expression, right? If you spend enough time at the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. So don't be so intimidated by what you can't do or what you think you have to do. Focus on that initial step, however stupid it is, because if you consistently drive to the gym, you're going to get out of the car. You're going to go inside. You're going to do the first exercise. You're going to learn how to do something. You're going to ask someone for help for the thing you don't know how to do. YouTube is your friend. Whenever I don't know how to do something, it becomes step one. Learn how to do it. If I don't have time for something, you schedule it. That always comes down to those initial steps. And so as you begin to take them, they become a habit, and and you build up momentum, and then the habits become your lifestyle. The first couple of weeks of this year were almost tough for me because I didn't have a specific training plan that I've been following, but I'm still getting up every day, lacing up and going out and doing a workout. Even if it's just a consistent, like regular thing, it just becomes part of your lifestyle.
How important is it? I put a post out this morning and I didn't even think about the correlation to the fact that you were going to be on the show today. But how important is it for people to just start, right? Like just start getting out, doing whatever it is. Just start doing the cold calling if they're having cold call anxiety, or, workouts, whatever that is, and then just figure it out as you go. Because if they're, and my whole point of what I had posted out there today is like, dude, if I look back, like, I don't have a plan, right? Like, I have, yes, I have a strategy and stuff like that, but it's not perfect. Like the perfection, all of that stuff comes in the action. It comes in actually going out and doing that stuff, because like, again, what works for you, there is no, like, I guess there's no one box of success that works for that there's one size fits all, because I guarantee what works for you, what gets you going, might work for me, but reality is it doesn't work for me at all. I have my own ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do find out, I always use the analogy of a car and how efficient the vehicle is running, and what is most efficient and effective for me may or may not be the same that's going to be most efficient and effective for you. But I could sit around planning workouts forever, and I'm not going to get any faster until I get my ass out on the street. We can train and we can role play and we can practice our scripts all day long, but we can't make sales until we dial the phone. Mm-hmm. You simply can't learn the things that you don't know until we get out there and do it. We can't be so intimidated by the threat of failure or by the things that we don't know, or God forbid, being embarrassed or imposter syndrome, all those silly things that hold us back, or we're intimidated by step 10. So we don't do step 1. Mm-hmm. Every little step, one step at a time, is the only way anyone's ever got anywhere. Mm-hmm. Every step we take makes the next step that much closer.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think from, again, at least from my perspective out there is when you're out, like, we make our lives way, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this without sounding like an asshole, but we make our lives, like, we think we're impacting so many people and throwing them off of their trajectory so much more than it actually happens, right? Because obviously we're the main character in our lives, right? the people that we're contacting, they're the main character in their lives, right? So like they got their own shit. They're not thinking about you or how you made them feel in that outside of when you're picking up the phone and dialing them, right? Or when you're like going out there and doing it. And like a lot of the confidence that everybody's really searching for out there, again, it just comes in and going through it and actually realizing that, right? Like, trust me, one thing, if you have anxiety for cold calling, for whatever reason it is, I've been there. I'm not afraid to admit it. Wait till you have a really good conversation with somebody. And then you like, at least from your perspective, and then you call them back in a few weeks and they don't remember your name. They don't remember even talking to you. That will help your framing. And that will make a lot more sense of what I just said there in the regards of like, hey, you're the main character in your life. They're the main character in their own. And you're not throwing them off as much as you think that you are.
The fish never remembers the fisherman.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. You can use that one too.
It is though, and I get it because we do make it to be bigger in our heads, and so I can't call them. I just called them yesterday. They don't remember you.
Yeah,
they don't, and it's actually a good thing if they do. Like you want to build that sort of consistency and awareness anyway. Like who cares? So when I have a call I have to make today, all right, to the insurance company, so that'll be fun, right? My nature would be to put this off because I don't want to do it. There are things I don't know. There's just so much unknown. I'm frustrated. I'm having the fight in my head anyway. So what I first need to do is schedule it. So I do. I actually have 15 minutes is all I put on my calendar for it either. So I don't sit around and think about it. And then I break it down to the stupid. Step one, get the phone number. That's it. Find the phone number. I don't have to have the call yet. Just find the phone number. I mean, step two is dial the number, but when I have it, it becomes that much easier. We just take the action steps that we don't need to think too much about. Our brain gets in the way. Our brain is looking for safety and for comfort, but we need to sort of get past those governors.
Yeah, I look at it. So like when I make my sales calls, for example, I will set up and I will preset all of my calls. I'll have all the numbers list out. I don't have a CRM. Yes, I understand there's a bunch of shit that people can insert here, but I'm just going off of what I do and what works for me. And, you can have all the fancy tools in the world, but if you don't actually pick up the phone and do anything with them, it's kind of irrelevant, right? So this is what works for me. I preset all of my calls for the day. Like that's my first task because I'm not cold emailing anybody. I did not have enough success with it. All of our results came from cold calling and site visits. That's all we're doing from a business development standpoint for the foreseeable future. No, I don't care about your sales solution. But what I do is I go in there and I set it up. All of my calls listed out. I have the phone numbers, the cities are located in, everything. And then from there, I just tell myself do 5. And then I go in and then I do 5. And then boom, before I know it, I've got 25 calls done, right? And it's because it's all preset. Everything's listed out. And then I just go down there. And again, I want people to also focus on stop the spray and pray methodology. Like we tried that, we tried chasing different sectors. We have only found success in one thing, man. That's full truckload, primarily open deck. And that's all we're doing, right? So like, that's all I'm going after when I'm doing it. So I'm not just looking to quote for the sake of quoting or anything like that. Like I have a plan, I have a strategy, and I'm following it. That took me like 15 months to come up with, you guys, right? This isn't anything that happened overnight. And I've just found what is effective for me. And again, and that's what it's always going to boil down to is when you're building up a system or a framework for you, you got to find what works for you. Okay. So for me, for example, like I said, I can probably, depending on how many people are answering the phone and everything in a given list of calls, I can get probably 25 calls done in an hour now. That wasn't always the case. I used to maybe only get 15, maybe 10 at that time, right? Because I was having a buildup aspect of it, right? I thought I had to do all of these additional steps. And then eventually I have it down to a system of like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And this took time to build up, you guys. But again, it always started with 5. Hey man, just make 5 calls. You can make any one of you who's commenting on this show right now, or who's going to listen to this on the replay later, all of you have what's inside of you to make 5 sales calls. Look at the people while you're doing it for. All right. It's very simple. I have my wife and my son on my phone at all times. If I ever don't feel like doing anything, I see that and I look at them. I'm like, that's all that matters. I'm going to pick up the phone and do it. So it's like, you got to find that. But again, you got to do it today. And then after I go through and I do my tasks for the day, because I have my 5 critical tasks that I'm going to do today, guess what? When I wake up tomorrow, it's a brand new fucking day. Whatever I did today, on Tuesday is irrelevant, right? I got to come over and I got to put the work in.
I think that's, you mentioned something that I think we interacted on one of your posts about in the first place, because you were talking about the daily actions, but what you just mentioned is about the remember why you're doing it. To me, it doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is why you're doing it. When I was my last couple of years in logistics and knowing that I wanted to do what I'm doing now, the thing that kept me engaged was knowing that my purpose is ultimately to help other people. So even though I was in a role that didn't necessarily support what I want to do right now, it still gave me the opportunity to help others, learn from others, engage with others, gain connections and relationships, new opportunities, all things that would support my higher purpose. So whether it be your family or, helping others or something like that, it is important to gut check why we're doing what we're doing, because that's going to, that's what's ultimately going to give me that spark that keeps going, that stays me connected to it. Now comes into the discipline and habits, which absolutely, when there's something I don't want to do, break it down to those meaningful chunks. It's one thing. Now, there was a time where I would say I would have buried my head in my calls for 2 hours. Maybe there's just too many red dots in the world now. So whether it be 30 minutes at a time, whether it be 5 calls at a time, I don't care, 5 emails, 5 messages, 5 clicks, something that just gets the action going, because nothing inspires action like action.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And it's to me, like, I think that with everything that is at our disposal now, like it almost creates analysis paralysis more than anything, because there is so much information at your disposal. There is so many get rich quick or 5-minute abs or all of that shit that goes on out there. Nobody actually wants to talk about the discipline and like the time it takes to achieve a lot of these things. And, again, it's taken me 5 years when it boils down to it, it's taken me 5 years to keep 70 pounds off my frame. 5 years. Right. And it was a lot of me thinking I had it all figured, or like, it was a lot of me thinking that there was an easier route. And probably 4 of those years were spent trying to find the easy route. 1 year was when this last year when I finally had the realization, like, there is no easy route. You just got to fucking do it. And it's going to suck. But guess what? It's going to be worth it. And I'm sitting here and trying to tell you guys, like, it is completely worth it. But just focus on the day. Straight up, just focus on the day. When shit gets really fucking hard for me, you guys, because I'm not just like this all the time, right? Like, I have fucking worries and doubts just like every single one of you. I just focus on my next task, right? As soon as we're done with this, guess what? My next task, make more cold calls, right? Like, so as soon as I'm done talking to Nick, this is all I'm focused on right now. But as soon as this is done, that's my next task. And that's all I'm going to focus on until that is done. And then I'm going to go forward with it. And again, it's like, I've made a very big push to limit social media. I will only go on LinkedIn during the workday. And that is if it is for a revenue generating activity. Like, I'm not going to doom scroll on there or anything like that. It is a revenue generating activity only. Otherwise, I'm out and I'm working on my business.
One of the, you mentioned the word one again. And when you mentioned that your word of the year is consistency, my word for this year is one. And it's about one thing at a time, one thing only at a time, and one thing until it's done. Because that's where I'm very good at the focused and the one thing at a time, but I'm not as good about just do this one thing until it's done. And so I realized I've had too much of a spray and pray, sort of approach to the year. But also there's a lot of learning, to your point, like you had to learn what works for you, what doesn't. And so I've been doing that as well. And now I'm just going to get a lot more targeted, because I do believe you move a lot more faster. At the same time, I don't need to be all things to all people. I need to learn how to do one thing well, and then I can learn how to do the next thing well, and I can conquer that one domino and then conquer each domino from there.
Yeah.
Also, I lost 40 pounds long before I ever considered Spartan or anything like that. Nice. It was all by managing the macros. It was one small decision at a time, just putting my calories into an app, making small, better decisions. It was something I had. Oh yeah. So when a friend of mine from high school had asked me how long it took me to lose that 40 pounds, I answered him. I said, about 6 years. 5.5 years of bitching about it and 6 months of losing the weight.
Yeah. Dude, I had Mike Lombard on the show last week, and he was saying that he's down, I think he's down like 100 pounds, but it was over 6 years and stuff like that. And, again, it's just that I think it's a lot of things that most individuals, and this is for me anyways, a lot of things I want to accomplish. It's simple. It's just not easy. It's simple on what to do. It's just not easy. And it's never going to come as fast as you want. But again, like if it came quick, and I don't think anybody would appreciate that, like the discipline and the framework and everything that comes along with it to keep it up long term, right? It's just like at this point where, I've bootstrapped my businesses for the last, it'll be 5 years here in April since I've been self-employed, and I've bootstrapped everything from the beginning, dollar in, dollar out, the whole time. I've never had investment or anything like that. I have the confidence now, like I don't want investment, and this isn't me saying that I do, but I have the confidence now that if somebody gave me $10 million to grow my company, I would properly allocate it. I wouldn't easy in, easy out mentality which comes a lot of with it, right? And again, I'll equate it down to, the quick buck that you make in business, or like the quick weight that you might drop, then you think you got it all figured out, and then you spike back up and all of that stuff, right? So again, back down to the consistency. I'm just focusing on that, right? Like, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible in my mind so I can stick with it long term, and then assess it on a day-by-day basis, and then look at it by a month, and then 6 months, and then the year and everything, and then really attack it like that. But I just think everybody needs to choose one thing. What is it? Maybe they want to make more sales calls. Maybe they want to lose weight. For me, Nick, everything's connected. Mind, body, soul, output, all of that stuff is connected. And sometimes it's just more beneficial to choose one thing to focus on right now, as opposed to looking at, like, at least this was for me. I like 5 years ago, I'm like, dude, you're a fucking dumpster fire of a person. You got to get your shit together. And that was me talking to myself. And then dude, it's just been one thing at a time, man. It's just been one thing at a time, one area of improvement at a time. And it's not sexy. None of what I do in a day is sexy, but it's effective.
Good habits are a gateway drug.
Yeah, no, they are.
I didn't sign up for hundreds of races. I didn't change my diet. I signed up for one race.
Yeah.
And I started training for it. And then I wanted another race. And so I started stretching, and I started adding nutrition, and it's a constant evolution. I'm 45 now too. And body's going to keep changing. Things are going to keep changing. I'm going to get other needs. I don't know if I'm going to be doing endurance like athletics and stuff forever either. So there may be something else that I adapt into my life, but I know that the higher purpose for me is to be happy, joyous, and free, to live a fit and active lifestyle. So whether it be endurance racing, maybe I pick up pickleball one day, I don't know, but something's going to keep me active, because I don't want to go back to the way I was. I don't want to go back to who I was. I have 1,000 times more energy throughout the day. Getting the blood flowing is not just a metaphor. These are real things that, like, you feel better, you're more productive, and I'm able to help people. So whether the vehicle for what I do is marathons and obstacle course racing, whether it just be bike riding, I don't know. There's always going to be something, I hope, that keeps me engaged in an active lifestyle.
All right. As we're wrapping up here, this flew by, and I knew it would, but I want to look at it like this. I want, like, say there's one thing. I want people, everybody's got that one thing that they want to change, right? What is something that anybody who's listening to this can do, and insert it, use a broad term from it. But again, it's that one thing, whether it's their weight, make more sales calls, grow their business. What is it that they can do? What is one thing that can show an actionable results over time? I'll put it, because nothing's going to be instant gratification.
So if we want to pick lose weight,
sure,
30 minutes walking a day, one thing.
Yeah.
One thing, change your life. All right. Absolute change your life. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give that answer across the board. If your thing is about making more money in sales, schedule 30 minutes a day of uninterrupted outbound sales calls.
Yep.
The X factor, schedule it, block it off, turn your cell phone off, turn other things off, remove distractions, say during this time, I'm doing this one thing. So break it down to the wildly specific and stupidly simple action step. And that almost always comes down to schedule it. If you don't know how to do it, Google it, or just do the thing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, I think it is really that simple, you guys. It is that simple. And then it's do it every single day, though. Like
Rinse, wash,
legitimately
repeat.
do it every single day. I look at it from a growth perspective, Nick. It is way more effective for you to go on a 30-minute walk every single day for a month straight than to increase it to 45 one day. And then, maybe you're up to an hour, but then one day you're like, oh, I'm only going to do it for 15 minutes because I'm only averaging 30. No, it's 30 minutes a day, every single day, or it's 30 minutes of uninterrupted sales calls a day, every single day.
It's the totality of the actions that add up. Absolutely.
Not just like, hey, I made an hour today, so I'm not going to do it tomorrow or anything like that. Like, just do the one thing and give yourself 30 days. And I will sit here and guarantee you will see different results. You will see greater results just by doing something like that. But Nick, thank you for joining me. Robert Peterson was right. Like, I am ready to go fucking rock some stuff out right now. How does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you have going on with your company?
Find me anywhere on social media at Stride Motivation. Doom scroll away. I post every day. Or you can find me on my website at stridemotivation.com.
I love it. Nick, thank you so much for joining me. That's going to be it for today, you guys. We got more guests coming on this week. But as always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show. If you're feeling motivated, which I know you are after this one, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify. Do me that solid, because if you see value, that's how your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.